So today I'll be showing you how to make the world famous pork roll and egg and cheese sandwich, which is a staple of New Jersey. So my friends and family from New Jersey, they've seen this, they know it, and they'll tell me everything I'm doing wrong. But this is it. This is the father of them all, Taylor's ham. John Taylor has this pork roll, which was invented. It's really pork shoulder with some spicing and some treatment, and that's what this is. So the world famous Taylor ham. Of course, if you're in North Jersey, any pork roll is Taylor ham. People refer to the brand name, like people say, hand me a Kleenex, meaning a tissue. But so when some people say Taylor ham, they mean this brand. This is the definitive brand. There are some others. Was it Case makes one. Hatfield Meats makes one as well. But this is the father of them all. In South Jersey, people refer to the generic pork roll. In Philly, people say pork roll. Unless you're from North Jersey and you moved to Philly like we did, and then you say Taylor ham, even if you're eating Hatfield pork roll. Anyway, long introduction for a simple sandwich. So it comes in rolls like this, or you can get it in a box in individual slices. I buy it this way from my friends at the Brewer IGA in Brewer, Maine. Thank you again to the Kenny family for bringing this in, as well as another mention I'll say is having the Hatfield hot dogs. Love those too. So what I've done is, this is a frozen roll that I'm saving for later, as I always buy 2 at a time. And what I've done is I've sliced them into my slices like this with a knife. I make some a little extra thick because sometimes you just like a little chunkier piece of pork roll or Taylor ham. Here, you'll notice I've got them cut up into little squares. So there you start cutting, right, on your cutting board. You've got the package off and this canvas off, and you start slicing. And you get to this sort of awkward area. I flip that over like this and cut it into these squares. Why? Well, believe it or not, some may say that's actually a pretty tasty thing to put in some types of quick pasta that you might make. Instead of bacon, instead of pancetta, try pork roll. It goes great in mac and cheese as well. There may be some disagreement on that, but Jenny likes it, so we reserve that for her. So once you cut in slices, I just keep it in a little zip top bag like this, and it's real easy. So the classic has a nice hard roll and your slices of pork roll, your egg, and your cheese. The classic is to use American cheese. However, I like to vary some things, and so I'm not using American cheese. This is an Irish Dubliner cheese. So in honor of my grandma, who was all things Irish, I'll make sure I have my Irish cheese. Melts great, tastes great. But to be truly classic, this would be American cheese. This is not fancy eats. This is pork roll sandwich. Now, instead of a roll, I like to use the bread that I make. So I will get that ready, and then in the next part, we'll fire this up. All right, the next stage. So you'll see here, this is baguettes that I make, or an extra oversized baguette that I make. I like to use these as well in my pork roll, egg, and cheese sandwich. But this is also a classic. English muffins. I love them. They're great. Lots of people do. The nooks and crannies are great, especially if you like a dippy egg. So, and I do. So here I'm actually going to use this bread that I've made. But first things first, I start with my pan, and I just turn my heat up to about 5. Nothing too fancy. And I let the heat in my pan come up. Little pan. Now, like in all cooking, the most important thing is you get ingredients that are good and you let them do the talking. Don't over add ingredients. Very important. So I like my regular brown eggs. And I'll be using those and the pork roll. Okay, so you see I've cracked my eggs and got them in my pan. Low heat is fine. I'm making 3 sandwiches, so I have 3 eggs. Very simple. And in a lot of the classics, you'll want a bit of a dippy yolks. Lots of people like scrambled eggs with their pork roll sandwich. Not me. I like mine sort of over easy. But, you know, cook your eggs as you will. But I think one of the nice things about a nice crusty piece of bread or an English muffin is the dippy egg with your pork roll. Taylor ham. So, this is an art. This is a street food sandwich. And yes, I just eviscerated that yolk, but I kind of like it that way. So, as you're making these, you can start laying on your pork roll, Taylor ham. So, how do I do it? Well, when you assemble the sandwich, I like to have a piece of pork roll, Taylor ham, on the bottom and the top of the egg. And then cheese on top of that. So, we will have 6 slices here because we're making 3 sandwiches. I just have to open this bag. Now, you'll often see like the shape of a Maltese cross on these things. It keeps them from buckling. These relief cuts actually keep from buckling. And you'll see my cuts aren't perfect. In fact, they look horrible. But I'm really just trying to keep it from buckling. So I'm not too worried about the design here. But what you want to do is, these are a heat and eat. So they even say so on the package. They're heat and eat. So you just want a nice heat on it and a nice color. So you get that on there and let it go. And then as you have more space on your griddle or your pan, keep adding. Now I know they also say you should always use plastic utensils or silicone utensils with your nonsticks. I just can't stand the things. It's like cooking with an easy bake oven. I hate it. So here's my relief cuts. You don't even need that many, actually. So, there you go. Okay, you can see we've got our pork roll. You can see those relief cuts have spread out. Right? So here, I'll just give them a flip. See the coloration we've got on it? That's all good. So if I hadn't made these relief cuts, what you'd have is the edges would stay on the pan and the center would bubble up to the top. So it looks kind of like a tint. Don't want that. Okay. Get some color on the other side. And then assemble our sandwich. Well, start with this one, which is the first on. So I've got my bread here. One. Egg. Other slice. And my cheese. And there I go. One. And 4. So, ketchup is perfectly acceptable on this sandwich, by the way. You would not be criticized at all for putting ketchup on. So there it is, the world famous pork roll, egg, and cheese sandwich on some homemade crusty bread. Enjoy.